right, so my name is Werner Eikenbusch. I work for BMW. I'm responsible for talent management in the Americas. And I would like, first of all, to thank the National Science Foundation and also the academies for really having supported this study, because from an industry perspective, we do believe that this is important work. And I'd like to share a couple of reasons with you why we think that way. So what I'd like to do is to answer three questions that I hope would be interesting to you. The first question is, why is engineering technology education important to BMW? So I'll go a little bit into the history. Is BMW alone in this? We did the employer survey. Catherine will also talk about IBM. And the third question, what about the 4-year ET degree? It's interesting, when I started this study, I will confess, having been in HR for so many years, hiring so many engineers, I didn't know that there was an engineering technologist. So I belong to some of the industry representatives in our survey that would have said, what is that and what's the difference? So I was much educated through this study as well. So to start off with, this is BMW Manufacturing Company in South Carolina. BMW in 1993 took a courageous step for us as a company to build the first full-scale manufacturing plant outside of Germany. Up to that point, all of the BMW plants had been not even all over Germany, but pretty much in the southern part of Germany around Munich and the state of Bavaria. So it is a success story today. So these are numbers from 2016. We produce about 1,400 vehicles a day, have about 8,800 jobs on site. The multiplier in the state is about 4. So for each job that we created, there were about 3 additional jobs that were created in the supplier industry. There is a study, if you're interested, by the University of South Carolina that would give you all those details. This is a really interesting aspect. We export, so we should be a poster child in the current discussion. We export 70% of our vehicles. So the vehicles that we build are only built in South Carolina. So if you find one of those cars in China, for example, it was built in South Carolina. If you find it in India, it was built in South Carolina. So we ship to 140 countries. 9.5 billion was the export volume in 2016. So as I said, this is the largest automotive exporter by volume in the United States. So it is a success story today. The question really is, 15 years from now, who will be able to run these advanced manufacturing technologies? So if you look at our body shop, just as an example, for those vehicles, these are the vehicles that we currently produce for the world markets. So the X3, X4, X5, X6. All lines operate fully automated. And we have about 1,400 robots in these body shops. So our big question, and of course challenge, is how do we make sure that that talent pool can continue? So to give you a perspective why this is really important, when we came to South Carolina, there was a long tradition of textile manufacturing, but the specific skills that we needed, and one big example would be what we call mechatronics, which is the multi-skilled maintenance, because you can't separate it anymore in this day between mechanical and electrical. Those skill sets weren't really available. Michelin had been there since the 70s, so we stole a number of these people from Michelin, but that didn't help Michelin, of course, and they are also an automotive supplier. So we started educating our own. But that is, of course, very expensive, but that's what we did in the early days. We hired people and then we ran them through fairly lengthy training programs to give them those skill sets. Why is that a problem? Because we are in competition internally with other plants, so for example with the plants in Germany, to build these vehicles. So BMW has to make money at the end of the day. If you can build these vehicles cheaper somewhere else, you might want to consider doing that. So this competition ultimately helped us to really think about how can we find a way to ensure that we have this labor pool in the future. So I grew up in Germany. You might be able to hear that by my accent. In Germany, currently it's estimated that half of young people start their careers in apprenticeships. I think the estimation here is that less than 0.5% of the workforce currently are in registered apprenticeship programs. BMW in Germany alone trains 3,000 apprentices, so all of their new generation, at least sub-baccalaureate, comes through those apprenticeships. So what we then did is we created our own apprenticeship program that very heavily uses engineering technology education for the theory part. So similar to this dual education program in Germany, within BMW we provide the hands-on training, and we use the technical college and community college system to provide the theory. We decided at the time to use a full 2-year degree, so not just certificates, because we wanted to make sure that students, parents, educators see this not as a dead-end road, but something that is a starting point to a career that you can build upon. So everybody who, after 2 years, graduates from our program graduates with an associate degree and the apprenticeship certificate that we have in place right now. So it's been a very healthy, I would say, marriage between the technical college system and BMW. In the report on page 72, if you want to write that down, there is a more in-depth description on the program. You could also go on bmwusfactory.com, one word. The program is described on our website. And there's also a more in-depth study that was conducted by somebody from the UN, Monica Ehring, in 2014, and the reference is in the report on page 73. So interestingly enough, or in summary, I would say, for this portion of my answer, without the 2-year education infrastructure in engineering technology, in parentheses, and some related degrees, because we also have IT degrees and so forth, we really couldn't run this program competitively, and that is why we feel this is really important for a company like BMW. And if you went to Toyota in Kentucky, or if you went to Nissan in Tennessee, you would probably hear the same story, because, of course, we're in contact with those companies, and they have pretty much done the same thing, using the technical infrastructure in these ET degrees, supplementing it with on-the-job experience. So BMW is not alone in this. I think Daniel talked about, is there a shortage or not? I think, different people disagree. I just read, actually this weekend, Georgetown University, I think local university here, right? Good reputation, estimates a shortage of 4 million workers today with the necessary training and education in highly skilled fields. Shortage is expected to grow to 5 million by 2020. We would say, and we have seen a lot of manufacturing growth. If there really is growth in manufacturing, which is the plan and would be great for the country, then I think we have to be very concerned, my personal opinion now, to make sure that the talent is there to fuel that. I said this, let me see. I guess just to summarize this, and you saw this on the graph before, the other, I think, positive is in engineering technology, and we see that in South Carolina as well, that it does draw underrepresented students into these fields. And so I think that is another bonus, not only that you have the talent, but that you engage some talent in those fields that today or in the past might not have really considered those fields. And the interesting story in South Carolina is as well that right now the work has gotten around that any 2-year degree in engineering technology will beat a starting salary from anybody from a liberal arts college. So, the salaries that you can make are quite good. So what about the 4-year degree in engineering technology? So my final point, I would say for BMW, and again, we have, of course, the benefit that our brand draws engineers to us. We don't really have much of a problem to hire engineers right now. We hire a lot of engineers from different colleges, mostly Southeast, but not exclusively. The challenge is for a manufacturer like we are, that a lot of the engineers don't want to be in manufacturing. they graduate from an engineering school and say, well, we want to design things, right? And so I think this is really where this, and examples of those jobs, I wrote some down, would be a supervisor in this mechatronics field. So if you want to supervise technicians who are multi-skilled, if you really don't understand this technology, it's going to be very hard to supervise them because they are the prima donnas in your manufacturing operations. And everybody who's nodding, I think, has been there and knows that. So they know what they are worth. And what we believe is that the engineering technology field is really uniquely set up to fill this gap because it is much more hands-on oriented and much more a logical path, I think, to those type of roles. In fact, we are currently working with local universities, Clemson University, also University of South Carolina, on more bridge programs, the 2+2 programs, because we want to make sure that our apprentices now have articulation agreements where they can also then later on get a 4-year degree, either in engineering technology or in more traditional engineering programs, to make sure that we have that talent there. So in summary, we feel that the ET degree fills an important role in the education portfolio of the future required to ensure manufacturing competitiveness in the US. And as I said, there's more information on our programs in the report, page 72. And these are the beautiful cars that we built and shipped from here all over the world. So thank you very much.